All right, problem 3. Usually keep in mind that there are only 2 calculator problems, but in 2009 there were 3 calculator problems, so we will get to use our calculator for this one as well. Also, please make sure you are scoring yourself so I have an idea and you have an idea of where you're at with these problems. Mighty Cable Company manufactures cable that sells for $120 per meter. For a cable of fixed length, the cost of producing a portion of the cable varies with its distance from the beginning of the cable. Mighty reports that the cost to produce a portion of a cable that is X meters from the beginning of the cable is 6 square root X dollars per meter. And let's see, note, profit is defined to be the difference between the amount of money received by the company for selling the cable and the company's cost of producing the cable. All right, so just keep in mind that profit equals how much they sold it for minus how much it's going to cost them. Okay. All right. For part A, it says to find Mighty's profit on the sale of a 25-meter cable. All right. I do know that this is in dollars per meter, and this is in dollars per meter, and I know profit is going to be in dollars, so I do know that I'm going to be taking the integral of this. The way that I'm going to set this one up is I'm going to go from 0 to 25, and to get profit, it's going to be how much it was sold. It's $120 per meter, minus how much it cost, which was 6 squared of x dx. And then from here, we basically just need to, we get to use our calculator for this. So if we use our calculator for this, we should get a profit of $2,500. And that was worth 2 points. If we had an integral set up, it was worth 1 point. And then if we had the correct answer, that was also worth 1 point. Just one comment I'm going to make about this one. My answer sheet that I'm following, they actually have the integral set up a little bit differently. They did not put the 120 inside. They just put 120 times 25 minus the integral from 0 to 25 of 6 square root of x. Both of them will give you the same answer, so whichever is your preferred method, I'm sure will work just fine. All right, so part B, using correct units, explain the meaning of the integral of 25 to 30 of 6 square root of x dx in the context of this problem. Remember again, if we're taking the integral of 6 squared of x, this was a cost per meter. It's dollars per meter. This is going to give us the number of dollars. So basically, if I've got a 30 and 25 here, when I plug in 30, it's going to give me the cost for producing 30 meters of cable. And if I plug in 25, it's going to give me the cost for producing 25 meters of cable. So, and remember, we'll be subtracting those. So this integral actually means the difference in cost in dollars of producing a cable of length 30 meters and a cable of length 25 meters. And you might have explained it a little bit differently, but just make sure you have that same kind of gist going on with the problem. All right, that was worth just 1 point. Make sure in your explanation it did say that you had to include units, so notice I did include units on my answer. Okay, part C, write an expression involving an integral that represents Mighty's profit on the sale of a cable that is k meters long. Well, if you'll notice in part A, we did set up an integral for the profit, 120 minus 6 square root of x dx. And when we did that, that was for 25 meters of cable. Well, this time we just want our cable to be k meters long. So it's basically going to be the exact same setup. We just want to have k. So we're going to go 0 to k, 120 minus 6 square root of x dx. And it just said to write an integral expression, and I did that. So this one was worth 2 points. If we have, basically it was worth 2 points. You have your integral set up. They have it set up as this, 120k minus the integral of 6 squared of x dx from 0 to k. So again, either one of those is correct, and that was worth 2 points. All right, part D. Find the maximum profit that Mighty could earn on the sale of one cable. Okay, if I want a maximum profit, I need to take the derivative of the profit and then set it equal to 0 to find a critical value. So my profit formula, I know, is from part C was 0 to k of 120 minus 6 squared of x dx. Okay, if I'm going to take the derivative of this, remember the derivative and the integral will cancel each other out, so I'm going to be left with 120 minus 6 square root x, and I'm actually going to put k because we have k meters this time instead of just x, and then I'm going to set that equal to 0. We do get to use our calculator on this, so if you type this, the left side in your calculator, and use the 0 feature, you should get k equals 400. Okay, this time you'll notice they didn't give me they didn't say like 0 to 50 or 0 to 200, so they didn't give me endpoints, and if they don't give me endpoints, I don't do an absolute, I just do a relative, so I'm actually going to do a p prime chart, and I'm going to put 400 on it. Okay, we found that any value less than 400, like let's say when we did 25, we found that that was a positive answer for your profit. If we plugged in 500 for our K, we would notice that we got negative for our profit. Well, actually, I'm not plugging it into P, I'm plugging it into P prime. So if I put, let's say I did put 25 in here, I'm going to get a positive answer. If I put 500 into the derivative, I was totally incorrectly putting it in the wrong spot, but if we put it into the derivative, we'll get a negative number. So we could say when it said to find the maximum profit, and notice it says find the maximum profit. It doesn't say where does it occur. We found that the maximum profit does occur at 400, but now what we need to do to get the profit is we need to put 400 in there for our K. So when we do that, that would be my answer, and I end up getting $16,000. Okay, so that part was worth 4 points. If you took the derivative and set it equal to 0, so if you did this right here, give yourself a point. Okay, if you found that K equals 400, give yourself a point. If you found the answer of $16,000, give yourself a point. And we actually need one more value. And remember, this chart does not count as a value. It did say to justify your answer, so I should have said the maximum profit occurs when K equals 400 because P prime changes from positive to negative. So that was worth my final point on that one. So that whole part was worth 4 points. So hopefully you got some good points on that one too.